You're tuned in to Steve Megatron on Altered Geek.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek. I'm your host, Steve Megatron Phillips, and joining me this week is...
TF2 and Mike, I'm back.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's right.
Yes, we are back. And since we just saw Avengers Infinity War, I figured that since I have not covered anything on this film up to this point, it's partially been intentional and partially just because I didn't have a... That's right, Kat. I did not have a co-host. Exactly.
There you go.
So I figured...
Shut up, Kat.
Yes, I know. Stupid animal.
Oh, stop. You know you love your cats.
I do, but he's dumb.
Well, yeah. Dogs rule, cats rule.
I love my dog more, but we'll just leave it at that. So yeah, the film, I wasn't sure what to think with this large amount of cast, but they did something kind of different, and I will warn everybody, this is spoiler territory, heavy spoilers. If you haven't seen the film, well, you should, because they're about to break $1 billion by the end of the week.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
They're about to have $2 billion films in 1 year.
Yeah, well, what's going to be great about this is it's going to break the record of just about everything.
Everything, yeah. And I know the crazy thing is that a lot of people are going to hate that. A lot of the traditional old-timey movie fans are going to hate that because there's such an angst against all these superhero films now.
Well, I don't think there's an angst. I think there's this problem where everybody is either loving it, hating it, or just sitting there just beating up on it because it's the main thing for pop culture now, and people are just getting crabby about it. But the other thing, before we really get too much involved with the film, is, and I have my own thoughts on why things may have turned out the way they have, but a lot of reviewers, like actual critics, like paid critics, are stating that the film is not very good, and they didn't, they kind of just jump into it. There's not a lot of, and it's like, you have to remember that this is building on, a universe, and this is basically, like they're doing in movie form what like Star Trek Discovery and American Horror Story and all these television series are doing in episodes. They're just coming out over a longer span of time.
The perfect way I can sum this up is that most paid movie critics, at least anyone that has been around the last 5 or 6 years or so, probably hasn't paid attention to, if they have, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is 10 years old this year. It started 10 years ago with Iron Man. They've been building since Iron Man. Like, there is no one-shot. There is no Man of Steel. There is no Wonder Woman, as good as that film is, and I have not seen it yet, but I've heard and I've seen and blah blah blah. I'm
good.
About to actually watch Wonder Woman at some point in the next week or so. My point is that these critics are like, oh, but it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. You have to watch this. You have to, yeah. If you've been following it along for the last 10 years, you'll be fine.
They expect the films themselves to be standalone.
They're not.
And at this point, everybody's been introduced. There's no reason to retread that.
Right, exactly.
It's like doing the Peter Parker origin story all the time. They skipped it this time, and I was grateful.
Yeah.
Because we've seen it in 2 previous renditions over the past 15, 20 years of Spider-Man, and honestly, I prefer, and this took me a lot, is I liked Tobey Maguire at the time, but I really liked Tom Holland. Mm-hmm. He's an awesome Peter Parker Spider-Man, and fits with this persona of it. But one of the things that I saw, funny enough, from Trek on Tube, that does a lot of Star Trek review stuff, they said that Avengers Infinity War truly is the first half of a 2-part season finale. Mm-hmm. And it makes it very hard, if not unfair, to rate, review, and rank it as just a movie. And I was like, that makes perfect sense, because that's exactly what it is. It's the first part of a 2-part episode for a season finale, and then everything changes.
Exactly, because originally it was billed as Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2, and then they're still doing that. They're just not calling it Infinity. They're not pulling a Twilight Breaking Dawn 1 and 2.
No.
Here's my thing about this. I asked Ryan and even Flo Merkley from Twig and Mayhem Mics and all that. I said, so if I wanted to have my wife and I go see it, and she's never watched hardly any of the Marvel movies, can she watch it without me having to explain everything? And he said, no, you have to have at least seen Ragnarok, Thor Ragnarok, and Black Panther. I have not seen those yet. I want to. I just have not had time to sit down and actually watch them. I went into this knowing what I've known from the films before that, and I was fine. Now, absolutely fine.
Before you go into any of your thoughts on it.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm just saying, like leading up to thing. Yeah.
I will say that I saw Thor Ragnarok. Absolutely love the movie. It touched on all those notes that the Guardians of the Galaxy films did, only was much better, and it made me love the character of Thor. I hadn't really cared for Thor before that movie. In that movie, he was just awesome. And then they've managed to fix a couple of things that happened in Ragnarok, specifically, and this is partial spoilers, the eye thing.
Yeah.
He loses his eye in Ragnarok and then gets it back in this movie, which I thought was a nice touch of, calls him Rabbit.
Yeah.
Rocket Raccoon.
Rabbit.
Yes, Rabbit. And then the fact that Groot was the handle for the axe. But no, I loved the way that they did this film, and they actually made, instead of all the heroes the main character, what made it work was the fact that they made Thanos the main character and everyone else was supporting cast.
Yep.
You had Stark as a major pivotal character, you had Thor as a major pivotal character, and you had Captain America, and those were the main three, which are actually the original anchors of this universe. And it was very fitting how they pulled this off and into this film. I also like how they fleshed out Thanos' character and made him so that he wasn't so like black and white evil. It was trying to essentially explain why he's got this wish to do what he's doing.
Yeah.
And so I think without further ado, we can get into our actual conversation on the whole film. What were some of your likes of the movie?
Iron Spider. That was awesome. When Spidey got the upgrade for the suit, that was cool. Hulkbuster? I know Hulk is not the villain in this. Obviously, Hulk doesn't really... She shows up like 3 or 4 times in facial expressions, but I was not expecting Bruce to be in the Hulkbuster armor, because normally when the Hulkbuster armor comes out, it's Tony versus the Hulk. But I did enjoy that. I thought that was great. Cap seems to he has a role in this, but it seems like it's a lot lower than normal.
Yeah, well, he's also more or less Nomad instead of Captain America at this point.
Right, yeah.
But I love how they brought everyone back in. And some people nitpicked on like Romanoff, or not Romanoff,
Wanda.
Wanda's the way she speaks, like her accent, changing from this film to Avengers, Age of Ultron, and Cap, Civil War. It's changed in every movie, but
that's a little.
That's
really
a nitpick.
serious. Like
they seem to forget that Leia changed her voice, in every movie she's been in. So
yeah.
That's a minor nitpick to me. Like I don't care about that. I haven't seen Black Panther, so
I haven't either. I want to. Like I said, I want to see Thor 3 and Black Panther, but I just don't have time anymore. Like between all the podcast stuff and the real life stuff, and I just want to sleep at the end of the day. I just don't have time to do stuff anymore.
But some of the stuff I liked. I liked the fact that Thor, survived and made it. Was picked up by the Guardians, revived, and he goes and forges his own new battle axe to take down Thanos. And then Tony's got the nanobot armor. Yes,
that was cool.
Which he just taps it and it just comes out. And then Banner's like, "Where did you?" And he's like, "You've missed a lot." And then he sends some of the nanobots to Peter, and to prevent him from dying, and tells the AI to take him back home, which was kind of funny. And then you get Strange saying, "I don't care if I save you or I save him. At the end of the day, I'm protecting this stone." And then when he gets in the battle with Thanos, he's like, "Spare Tony," after he's gone through like the 4 million future possibilities.
Yeah.
Which looked like he was having an Exorcist moment.
Yeah, it did.
But this leads me to the key that, and this is my own thoughts, is Tony Stark is the key to the entire next film. I think he's going to get a lot of screen time in the next film.
Mm-hmm.
I also think he's going to be the one that pays the ultimate sacrifice, and I think Cap will go with him.
Mm-hmm.
Thor may or may not go with him. But the funny thing is at the end of this movie, the only ones left were the Phase 1 heroes.
Yeah.
So you had Cap, you had Iron Man, you had Thor, you had Rhodey, you had Black Widow.
Yep.
And you had Banner, and that was pretty much it. Like, everybody else is dead, like, hero-wise. And then all the Guardians, except for, like, Rocket.
Yeah.
So...
it's just super sad.
I mean, they're all going to be back the next movie.
Well, because here's the thing. Like, they're going to have to reverse Infinity War. Like, they're going to have to basically, say, somebody's going to have to get a hold of the Time Stone and reverse the whole thing.
Well,
because
the thing is finding them now.
Yeah.
And I think Captain Marvel, she's going to play a pivotal role.
Yep.
In the next film. And I thought it was funny that they had Maria Hill disintegrate, and then
Nick send the message.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh," and he was mother, and then he disintegrated.
Disintegrated him, yep. Yeah, what I loved about Infinity War was how everything came together so well. Like, what Thanos is doing, what the heroes are doing. It was kind of like, I don't want to cheapen it by saying this, but it was kind of like how the team came together in Crisis on Earth X on the CW. It was like everybody's kind of off doing their thing, and they don't talk to each other, and they don't this, and they haven't kept in contact, but all these events are happening around them. And it's one of those things where, oh, this is very cool. We see these people. We see, like, each character, whether it's the Guardians, whether it's Tony, whether it's Cap, whether it's Bucky, whether it's whatever, Black Panther, each character, each actor, each person, each part of the story got the screen time that was needed for the story to be told. They didn't try to over focus on one character or set of characters. Everybody got equal time in this movie.
And I thought that's what the best part about the movie was, is that they weren't trying to cater to people. It was the story was playing.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh boy. So I saw my buddy, I guess you could call him, comic book author Pat Shand. He writes the Robin Hood. He wrote the Robin Hood series for Zenescope Entertainment. He's doing stuff for Marvel here and there. He basically wrote up a list of his favorite Marvel movies over the last 10 years, since this is the 10th anniversary of Marvel Studios. I did my own personal top 10. I'll just do my top 5 here. Guardians Volume 1, Civil War, Iron Man 3. I just love the movie. That's why it's at number 3, because I love it for all the armors that are in it and the Brian Tyler score. Infinity War at number 2, and the original Avengers film at number 1.
Yeah, I don't know what I would put. Like, I love most of them for different reasons.
Yeah.
I didn't care. Like, I enjoyed the first Captain America. The first 2 Thors, didn't care for him. I love Ragnarok. I would put Iron Man 1 in there just for the sake of having it, since it launched.
I did. I just didn't. It's not in my. It's in my top 10. It's just not in my top 5.
I enjoyed Guardians Volume 1 better than Volume 2, but I don't know if I'd put it in my top 5.
Yeah.
The Infinity War would be in my top 5. There's aspects of the other ones. I don't know. Like Cap, I would put in there. Like Civil War.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I mean, they're, like I said, they've all been pretty well off. Spider-Man could have been a little bit better, although it wasn't terrible. Doctor Strange was good. Ant-Man was kind of meh for me.
Yeah, I haven't seen Ant-Man yet, so...
I've made a point to watch all of them. The only one I haven't watched so far is Black Panther, and that's more so because I just haven't gotten into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't care for the second Thor. Like, I watched part of it, and I was like, but...
Yeah, no. Dark World, I just did not like that movie at all. I didn't like the first Thor at all, just because it was just a weird movie to me. Dark World was just too
dark.
Not really, yeah, but what I didn't like about it was more so the I don't know, just yeah, it was too dark, but it was also just the whole, oh, this is a family war. This is this is that. This is Loki, you're a bastard child from this, or whatever. You know, it just seemed like it was just half-assed put together, and I'm sorry that I'm cursing, but it just...
That's fine. It was kind of odd that they actually killed Loki the way they did.
In this movie, you
yeah.
mean? Yeah, that was...
It was a little sad, because, like, he turned that corner in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And was actually trying to help Thor. Because he knew he was going to die.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to serve, I didn't realize he still had the Tesseract.
Yeah, I don't think anybody did.
But it was kind of funny how that played out. And then how they sent Banner back to Earth, and he's just babbling.
Yeah.
And then we finally get to see what happened to the Red Skull.
Yep, that was cool.
That was really cool. I was like, oh, so he's now like this otherworldly, basically guide to the Soul Stone.
Yep.
He's like a specter now at this point.
Yeah. So Infinity War kind of got me wanting to not necessarily collect them again, but There was a few years ago, after each of the phases completed, they released Phase 1 and Phase 2 Marvel Cinematic Universe DVDs and Blu-rays. I went on Amazon to look to see if, they were at least reasonably priced. The Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 1 Blu-ray set is listed on Amazon through Amazon Prime for $860. What? Like, I get it. It's a mini Tesseract briefcase kind of like special casing thing for the movies, but I mean, come on. Like, I could see maybe $100 or something like that, but almost $900 for this
It's
thing?
a limited edition. Even at a low price, it would have been over $200.
Yeah.
The funny thing is I've seen Megatrons go for higher than that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Especially from BotCon.
Well, yeah, I mean... Wait, what is that? Because that doesn't exist anymore.
You know those old school things that had Transformers at them?
Oh, the conventions. Yeah, I know not what you speak of. Conventions? What are those?
So are there any other thoughts you'd like to convey on Infinity War?
Not really. I really enjoyed the movie. I'm looking forward to the next phase or the next whatever. I believe I saw May 3rd, 2019 for Infinity War, which I think Captain Marvel is coming March 6th of 2019. So that would be kind of cool between, 2 months apart kind of a thing.
I wonder when the next Doctor Strange and Spider-Man and all these other movies, because you couldn't really have them unless they took place after.
Well, obviously, yeah. Yeah.
Because they're all dead.
Yeah.
So, I didn't like the fact that Thanos was like, you've got some guts, Stark. Like, they just knew each other, like, best friend, worst enemies. Like, Stark's like the Batman of this universe in the sense, like, he'll go up against Darkseid and live.
Yeah.
And Stark's like, trying to stick it to him and pretty much would have died if it weren't for his nanobot armor.
Right.
Repairing him.
Right.
I think he's going to pay the ultimate sacrifice in the next film.
Yeah. Okay, from Time.com, Deadpool 2 is the next one, May 18th. After that, we have Ant-Man and Wasp, July 6th of this year. Venom, and these are just Marvel movies in general. They're not specifically MCU, but some are, some aren't. Venom is October 5th of this year. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, is that the animated thing?
It's got to be.
December 14th. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Venom I have no cares for.
I kind of dig it. I like the trailer. I thought it was kind of cool. They're not doing the traditional Eddie Brock. They're doing Eddie Brock Venom the anti-hero. And I like that more because it's a better story than just, Venom versus Spider-Man, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I have no interest in this movie. But the Deadpool 2, I more so interested in than Venom.
Yeah, to each their own.
Yep.
So, what else do we want to talk about? Or
I think
done with
I think for this one, I think we're good. I think it'll be interesting to see what everybody says in the comments on this episode as far as the new Avengers film and what they liked, what they didn't like, what they think could have been done better, and yeah. So, how can the people get a hold of you on the Twitters?
It's at TFG and Mike.
And you can get a hold of me at SCP-21 or the podcast at Altered Geek. So until next time, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks.